What if I told you that just 1 hour a day, consistently, intentionally, could completely change your life? No, you don't need to quit your job, wake up at 4 a.m., or hustle 24/7. The truth is, massive change doesn't require massive time. It requires focused effort, repeated daily. We often say, "I don't have time," but time isn't the real problem. The problem is where that time is going. 1 hour of mindless scrolling, gone. 1 hour of intentional growth, life-changing. This video isn't about working harder. It's about working smarter, with clarity, direction, and discipline. 1 hour a day to build a skill, train your mind, move your body, or simply get quiet and focused. That's all it takes to shift your future. You'll learn how the power of habit, the magic of consistency, and the science of momentum can create results you didn't think were possible, with just 60 minutes of intention each day. The next chapters will walk you through exactly how to use that hour, what to focus on, how to stick with it, and how to turn it into a lifestyle. Because here's the truth. Your life won't change all at once, but it can start today. In the next hour, let's begin. Chapter 1. Why 1 hour matters more than you think. We live in a world addicted to extremes, grand gestures, big wins, all or nothing efforts. We admire stories of people who locked themselves away for months, emerging as experts, millionaires, or transformed beings. And while those stories are captivating, they often lead us to believe that anything less than an all-out grind is meaningless. But the truth, it's not the giant leaps that change your life. It's the small, consistent steps taken every day. Psychologically, our brains thrive on manageable challenges. When we set huge goals with massive time requirements, we often become overwhelmed before we even start. That overwhelm leads to procrastination and eventually guilt. But 1 hour feels doable. It doesn't trigger panic. It invites you in. It whispers, "You can do this." That's the magic. One focused hour each day creates momentum, and once momentum kicks in, your identity starts to shift. You stop seeing yourself as someone who wants to grow, and begin seeing yourself as someone who is growing. And this is where the power of compounding begins to work for you. Just like interest in a savings account, your 1 hour deposits build on each other. The first few days might feel like drops in a bucket, but over time those drops become a stream, then a flow, and eventually a powerful current. You look back after 90 days and realize you've changed. Not in a flash, not overnight, but in steady, undeniable motion. Think about it. Mathematically, 1 hour a day equals 7 hours a week. That's 30 hours a month. Over the course of a year, you've clocked 365 hours into something meaningful. That's over 9 full-time work weeks. And it's not just time, it's quality time, free from distraction, full of purpose. How much could you change in your health, mindset, relationships, career, or creativity with that kind of intentionality? Here's the key difference between those who succeed and those who stay stuck. Consistency beats intensity. Anyone can go all in for a few days. Anyone can burn bright in a flash of motivation. But the ones who create real change are the ones who keep showing up, especially when it's boring, especially when there's no applause, especially when it's just them, their goal, and a quiet hour. Take Stephen King, for example. Before he became a household name, he was working in laundry rooms and teaching high school English. But each morning before the world woke up, he carved out time to write, not hours and hours. Just a small block. It was during those silent early sessions that he wrote Carrie, his breakout novel. What mattered wasn't how much time he had. It was that he used the time he did have, relentlessly and consistently, 1 hour a day built a global legacy. The same principle applies to anything you want to change in your life. Want to get in shape? 1 hour of movement daily, even if it's a walk or a bodyweight routine, will reshape your body and mind in ways you won't believe in 6 months. Want to become a better writer, speaker, designer, entrepreneur, or coder? 1 hour a day of deep focused practice will separate you from 90% of people who only dream but never do. 1 hour of learning daily puts you ahead of the curve. 1 hour of silence, reflection, or journaling daily will ground you with clarity most people never experience. The problem isn't time, it's our relationship with time. We waste so many hours waiting for the right moment to start. We believe we need more time, more energy, more motivation. But you don't. You need less noise, less distraction, less pressure to be perfect. And most of all, you need 1 solid hour of purpose that becomes your anchor every day. 1 hour a day isn't just a strategy, it's a mindset. It says, I value myself enough to show up daily, even when the results aren't instant. It says, progress matters more than perfection. It says, my future is worth the effort, even in small doses. You don't have to do everything today. You just have to do something, intentionally, consistently, and with belief in the process. That's how change happens. Not all at once, but all the time. So the next time your brain tells you that 1 hour isn't enough, remember this. It's more than enough, if you use it right. Chapter 2. The compound effect in motion. 1 hour might not sound like much until you realize how it adds up. 1 focused hour a day doesn't just change your schedule, it changes your trajectory. That single hour, repeated daily, turns into a force of transformation that compounds quietly in the background of your life, until one day the results are undeniable. Let's break it down. 1 hour a day for 7 days. That's 7 hours a week. Multiply that by 4 weeks, and you've got around 30 hours a month. Keep going for a year, and you'll have put in 365 hours. That's over 9 40-hour work weeks. Think about that. While most people wait for someday to chase their goals, you're carving out the equivalent of over 2 months of full-time effort just by showing up for an hour a day. And the best part, that hour doesn't have to come all at once. It just has to be focused and consistent. This is the essence of the compound effect. The idea that small repeated actions over time create massive outcomes. It's not a theory, it's a law of nature. The same way interest compounds in a bank account, effort compounds in your life. But just like compound interest, the magic isn't visible right away. The early days feel slow, sometimes pointless. You show up, you practice, you make mistakes. Progress is invisible. That's where most people give up. But those who stay with it, they eventually hit what's called the silent growth curve. Here's what that looks like for weeks or months. Your results are minimal. You're putting in the work, but it feels like nothing's happening. Then suddenly you start seeing change. A skill clicks. Your body feels stronger. Your mind reacts differently to stress. People notice. Momentum builds. The line shoots upward. It wasn't overnight success. It was accumulated success, hidden in daily effort, now finally visible. Let's use an example that brings this to life. Josh Kaufman, author of The First 20 Hours, set out to prove that you could learn just about anything with focused effort, without needing to dedicate years to mastery. He committed to just 1 hour a day of intentional learning and practice. Within weeks, he had picked up a range of new skills: yoga, programming, even playing the ukulele. He didn't become a world-class expert, but that wasn't the goal. The goal was rapid progress. The kind of growth that changes your ability builds confidence, and opens new doors. 1 hour a day made that possible. It's important to understand the difference between short-term gratification and long-term growth. Our culture is addicted to the quick fix. The six-pack in 6 days, the side hustle that blows up, the viral moment that brings overnight fame. But the truth is, short-term wins fade fast if there's no foundation beneath them. The compound effect, on the other hand, builds something real. It may start slow, but it sticks, it lasts, it scales. 1 hour of learning per day turns you into a new version of yourself in a year. 1 hour of exercise reshapes not only your body, but your self-image. 1 hour of journaling, meditation, or reflection builds emotional intelligence most people never develop. 1 hour of focused effort on a side project, a business idea, or a dream creates momentum that compounds into full transformation. But the key is repetition with direction, not random effort, not multitasking, not half-hearted hustle. You need a target and a system. When your energy has a clear destination, and you return to that path daily, you begin to stack victories. They may be small at first, but each one builds on the last. And before long, you've built something others can't understand, because they didn't see the hours, the patience, the quiet discipline behind it. This is why 1 hour a day isn't about time management. It's about identity change. Every time you show up, you cast a vote for the person you want to become. You build trust with yourself. You prove that you are capable of change, and that trust compounds too, because once you've shown up for a month, you're more likely to keep going. The hour becomes a habit. The habit becomes a lifestyle, and the lifestyle becomes your reality. So the next time someone says they want to change their life, ask them, can you give 1 hour a day, not to the world, not to your job, but to yourself? Because 1 hour, repeated with purpose, is not small, it's unstoppable. And if you keep showing up, your future will thank you for every quiet hour you invested, long before anyone else saw the results. Chapter 3. Train your mind before anything else. Before you build a business, a body, or a new skill, you must first build your mind. Your mindset is the operating system that determines how everything else runs. You can have the best strategy, the most detailed plan, or the perfect environment. But if your thoughts are cluttered, reactive, or self-sabotaging, nothing sticks. That's why if you're going to give just 1 hour a day to change your life, start with your mind. This hour is not about doing more. It's about thinking clearer. It's about becoming emotionally grounded, mentally strong, and inwardly focused before the rest of the world tries to pull you in every direction. Training your mind doesn't require expensive tools or advanced techniques. What it requires is stillness, structure, and self-honesty. Imagine starting your day not by rushing, scrolling, or reacting, but by sitting with your own thoughts. Journaling is one of the most powerful ways to do this. Just 10 to 15 minutes of free writing can clear your mental fog and help you reconnect with your values, your purpose, and your priorities. When you write, you slow down. You stop operating on autopilot and begin to notice what's really going on beneath the surface. You begin to lead your life instead of just reacting to it. Another powerful use of this hour is meditation. You don't have to be a monk to benefit from sitting in silence. Even 10 minutes of focused breathing can shift your nervous system from stress to calm. Over time, this builds a deep reservoir of inner strength, so when life throws chaos your way, you don't panic. You pause. You respond instead of react. You stop being a victim of circumstance and start becoming a master of state. Visualization is also a tool used by elite performers across disciplines, from athletes to entrepreneurs. Spend a few minutes each morning picturing the person you want to become, not just what you'll do, but how you'll feel, how you'll carry yourself, how you'll think under pressure. This primes your brain to act in alignment with that version of you. The mind doesn't know the difference between imagination and reality, so use that to your advantage. A strong morning mindset routine sets the tone for the entire day. It trains your mental muscles the way a gym session trains your physical ones. And just like physical training, consistency is everything. The first few days might feel awkward or slow, but the real results come when this process becomes a daily ritual, not just a temporary fix. Why does this matter so much? Because your outer world is a reflection of your inner world. If you're constantly overwhelmed, distracted, or emotionally unstable, that will bleed into every other area: your health, your work, your relationships. But if you take time each morning to center yourself, to ground your thoughts, to direct your attention, you begin to show up differently. You become more focused in your work, more present in your relationships, more intentional in your actions. This is what separates people who sustain success from those who burn out. The people who thrive long-term aren't just productive, they're mentally prepared, they're resilient, focused, and anchored in a deep sense of self-awareness. And that's not something you find by accident. It's something you build, 1 hour at a time. So if you're wondering where to start on your journey of transformation, don't reach for tactics. Start with your mindset. Before you train your body or chase your goals, train your focus, your calm, your inner clarity. Because when your mind is right, everything else follows. That's not motivation, that's foundation. And the strongest lives are built from the inside out. Chapter 4. 1 hour to build a skill. If you want to change your life, learn to build something that lasts. And skill is one of the most powerful things you can build, because once you have it, it stays with you. It becomes your leverage, your value, your edge. The best part, you don't need to quit your job or block off entire weekends. 1 hour a day is enough to become incredibly good at something. Whether you want to learn a new language, code an app, play an instrument, master graphic design, or start a business, every journey to skill mastery begins with small, deliberate practice sessions. It's not about doing it all at once. It's about doing it consistently, with focus, and without distraction. That's how skill compounds. That's how amateurs become experts. The science backs it. Neuroscience shows that repeated exposure to a skill rewires your brain through a process called neuroplasticity. The more you practice something, intentionally and attentively, the stronger those neural pathways become. The catch: your brain needs repetition and focus. Distraction breaks the loop. Half effort doesn't help. You need a block of time where you're immersed, challenged, and fully engaged. That's where deep work comes in. Deep work, a concept popularized by Cal Newport, is the ability to focus without distraction on a cognitively demanding task. It's when you tune out the world, silence your notifications, and commit to progress. This isn't about multitasking or passive learning. It's about singular attention, just you, your skill, and the process of getting better. 1 hour of deep work a day is more powerful than 4 hours of scattered, distracted effort. You don't need more hours. You need better ones. This is also where flow comes into play. Flow is that powerful mental state when time disappears, your mind sharpens, and you're fully absorbed in what you're doing. It's the sweet spot between challenge and skill. When you're in flow, learning becomes faster, creativity spikes, and frustration fades. Flow doesn't happen randomly. It happens when you push the edge of your ability with full concentration, exactly what happens when you devote a quiet hour to building your craft each day. Think about how you'd grow if you spent 1 hour a day learning to code. In 30 days, that's 30 hours of real programming experience. In 3 months, you've got 90 hours of focused development, enough to build small projects, contribute to open source, or land internships. Keep going for a year, and you're approaching expert territory, all from one focused hour a day. The same applies to music. Want to learn guitar or piano? 1 hour of focused practice a day, scales, chord progressions, songs, will turn noise into music. The compound effect begins to show after just a few weeks. Your fingers move faster, your ears hear patterns, your confidence builds. Or take entrepreneurship. Use your hour to research, brainstorm, test product ideas, build landing pages, write emails, or study markets. You'll be stunned at how quickly ideas evolve when you're working on them with regularity. That hour becomes your incubator, the place where ideas are planted, nurtured, and grown. Let's take a real-life example. James Clear, the best-selling author of Atomic Habits, didn't start with an audience or a book deal. He didn't plan to go viral. He simply committed to writing 2 blog posts a week, roughly 1 hour per post. That's all. No fireworks. Just focused writing, week after week. Those posts added up. Over time he built an email list. That audience turned into a book deal. That book turned into a worldwide movement. 1 hour a day built a publishing empire. The same potential is available to you. But you have to make the time, remove the noise, and show up with focus. That means eliminating distractions. No notifications, no bouncing between tabs, no music with lyrics or background videos. 1 hour of clean, deep effort. Use tools like timers, website blockers, or even turning off your phone completely. Guard that hour like gold, because it is. And remember, the goal isn't perfection. The goal is repetition with intention. Don't aim to master everything in a week. Just aim to get 1% better every session. Track your growth. Celebrate the milestones. Let the process shape you. What you build during this hour becomes your advantage. Most people don't follow through. Most dabble, then drift. But if you commit, truly commit to using that hour daily, you will separate yourself in time. Not because you were more talented, but because you were more consistent. 1 hour a day, every day, and you will look up 6 months from now with a skill that speaks for itself. It becomes your proof. Proof that progress doesn't come from waiting, or wishing, or binge-consuming. It comes from practice, from patience, from showing up, even when no one's watching. That's how skill is built, and that's how lives are changed. Chapter 5. Move your body, transform your mind. If there's one thing that can shift your mindset, elevate your energy, and strengthen your discipline all at once, it's movement. Not just for aesthetics or fitness goals, but for clarity, confidence, and mental resilience. 1 focused hour of movement a day can transform your entire life, from the inside out. We often separate the body from the mind. We treat physical health as something different from mental clarity. But science and experience shows otherwise. Your body and mind are deeply connected. When you move your body, you stimulate your brain, you boost dopamine, serotonin, and endorphins, the very chemicals responsible for your mood, focus, and overall well-being. That's why people often say, "I didn't feel like working out, but I'm so glad I did." That post-workout clarity isn't a coincidence. It's chemistry. You don't need a gym membership, expensive equipment, or a personal trainer to get these benefits. All you need is 1 hour a day and the willingness to show up, whether it's a brisk walk, a bodyweight circuit, yoga in your living room, a dance session, or a simple stretch routine. What matters most is consistency, not complexity. And here's the beautiful thing about movement. It doesn't just change how you look, it changes how you show up in the world. Regular movement builds discipline, the same discipline you need to pursue your goals, manage your emotions, and keep promises to yourself. When you choose to move, especially when you don't feel like it, you're training your willpower. You're proving to yourself that action matters more than mood. That mindset carries over into everything. You begin to think, if I can push through this workout, I can push through this hard day. It's not about the squats or the steps. It's about who you become while doing them. Movement also rewires your relationship with stress. When life becomes overwhelming, many people shut down or spiral into anxiety. But when you move your body, you give that tension somewhere to go. You release it. You regain control. You return to a state of balance, physically and emotionally. There's a reason some of the world's most successful people prioritize physical activity. They understand that movement is fuel. It sharpens their focus, clears mental fog, and unlocks new levels of creativity. A morning run isn't just exercise. It's a strategy session. A walk in nature isn't just steps, it's a meditation. Movement unlocks mental space that stillness sometimes can't. You don't need to train like an athlete, you just need to move with intention. If you're starting from zero, begin with 20 minutes and build up. If you already have a routine, make your hour non-negotiable, a sacred space where you reconnect with your power. The goal isn't to crush your body, it's to activate it. And if you're worried about motivation, here's a truth that might free you. Motivation is overrated. You won't feel inspired every day. Some days you'll feel tired, distracted, or discouraged. But that's when showing up matters the most. Those off days build something deeper than fitness. They build grit. When you prove to yourself that you'll move no matter how you feel, your confidence skyrockets. Over time, your identity begins to shift. You no longer think, I should work out. You think, this is who I am. You become someone who takes care of their body, who respects their energy, and who honors their commitments. And from that place, everything in your life begins to elevate: your productivity, your relationships, your presence. Movement also improves your sleep, boosts your immune system, and enhances your ability to concentrate. These are not minor benefits. These are the building blocks of a better life. One focused hour a day gives you more energy to chase your goals, more patience in tough conversations, more clarity in your decisions. And here's the truth most people overlook. Your body is the only place you have to live. You can change jobs, move cities, rebuild your mindset, but your body is your lifelong home. Treating it with care isn't just about health, it's about self-respect. So don't overthink it. Don't wait for perfect conditions. Don't aim for perfection. Aim for presence. Lace up your shoes, roll out your mat, step outside. Whatever gets you moving. That hour you give to your body each day, it will give you back tenfold in energy, strength, and peace of mind. In a world that encourages burnout and stillness, choosing to move is a radical act of self-leadership. And over time, that 1 hour of movement won't just change your body, it will transform your mind, your habits, and your entire way of living. Chapter 6. Read, reflect, rise. In a world that constantly pushes us to produce, react, and rush, reading offers something rare: stillness, space, reflection. A quiet connection to ideas that stretch beyond our immediate experience. It's one of the simplest, most powerful habits you can build, and one that fits beautifully into your daily hour of transformation. If you read just 20 pages a day, you'll finish 30 or more books a year. That's 30 different mentors, 30 life-changing perspectives, 30 deep dives into areas you want to master. And it all begins with a single hour a day. We tend to underestimate how much we can absorb in small doses. A single page can contain a breakthrough. A single chapter can change your career. But most people don't read, not because they lack interest, but because they think they lack time. The truth is, time isn't the issue. Intention is. When you carve out a dedicated hour each day for reading and reflection, you create a quiet ritual of growth. You remove yourself from the noise and re-enter the world with fresh insight, sharpened focus, and deeper self-awareness. Reading isn't just about absorbing information. It's about evolving your thinking. The best books challenge your assumptions. They reframe your beliefs. They teach you to ask better questions, see hidden patterns, and approach life with more clarity. Books become your unseen mentors, speaking to you without needing appointments, Zoom calls, or introductions. You can sit with the minds of history's greatest thinkers, Seneca, Einstein, Maya Angelou, Viktor Frankl, James Clear, Angela Duckworth, and have a private, uninterrupted conversation. Where else do you get that kind of access? Consider this. If someone spent 10, 15, or even 20 years learning, experimenting, failing, and succeeding, then poured all of it into a book, you're essentially buying decades of wisdom for the price of a few dollars and the investment of a few hours. That is leverage at its highest form. You're compressing time, you're speeding up your growth curve, you're learning from other people's mistakes, triumphs, and perspectives without having to stumble through them all yourself. Oprah Winfrey once said that reading was her path to freedom. She attributes much of her wisdom, confidence, and perspective to the hours she spent with books, often in the early mornings, before the rest of the world woke up. That quiet commitment shaped her worldview and gave her tools she didn't get in school. It gave her the power to rise above her circumstances. It can do the same for you, but to truly rise, you can't just consume, you must reflect. That's where the real transformation happens. Reading without reflection is like pouring water into a bucket with no bottom. It flows right through. But when you take time to pause, write and consider what you've learned, you begin to internalize the lessons. You see how they apply to your life. You begin to think critically, not just consume passively. That's why pairing your reading habit with journaling is so powerful. After reading, take 10-15 minutes to write about what stood out. Ask yourself, what challenged me? What inspired me? What can I apply today? What did this reveal about the way I see the world, or myself? These questions create self-awareness. They turn reading into practice. They make ideas actionable. This process doesn't have to be formal or polished. Your journal isn't for anyone else. It's a space for you to wrestle with thoughts, to make meaning, and to create personal clarity. Over time, this combination of reading and reflection becomes a map of your own growth. You'll look back and see how your thinking has evolved, how your questions have deepened, and how your identity has expanded. Even more important, reading gives you language for things you're feeling, but haven't yet understood. Have you ever read a sentence and thought, "That's exactly how I feel, but I never had the words for it"? That moment of recognition is powerful. It validates your experience. It helps you know yourself more deeply. Books often say the things we didn't know we needed to hear, and those words have the power to unlock action. Your reading hour can also be strategic. You can shape it around your goals. Want to become a better leader? Dive into books on influence, communication, emotional intelligence. Want to master your finances? Read about wealth psychology, investing, or entrepreneurship. Read books that explore presence, purpose, or inner peace. Want to heal from pain? Read memoirs, psychology, or poetry that speak to your journey. Your reading list becomes your curriculum for self-mastery. And don't think you need to finish a book every week. The goal isn't speed, it's depth. Some of the most powerful books are meant to be savored, reread, and return to over time. It's okay to underline, annotate, dog-ear, and pause. It's not about getting through pages. It's about letting those pages get through to you. In today's age of short-form content and constant distraction, reading a book cover to cover is a revolutionary act. It requires presence. It rewards patience. It builds a kind of mental endurance most people have lost. But if you can train yourself to stay with an idea, to wrestle with it, to question it, to digest it, you'll develop a mind that's not only informed but wise. Reading daily doesn't just fill your mind, it fuels your evolution. It becomes a mirror, a compass, a lighthouse. It helps you navigate the world with more understanding and navigate yourself with more compassion. So let this be your invitation. Take 1 hour a day to read, to reflect, and to rise. Start small, be curious, choose books that stretch you, move you, and make you think. Keep a journal close by. Let your thoughts roam. Let new ideas challenge the old ones. This is not just a routine, it's a ritual, a practice of growing in silence so you can show up in strength. Because the world doesn't need more noise. It needs more people who think, who feel, who question, and who read. And that journey begins with 1 quiet hour a day, between you, a book, and the next version of yourself. Chapter 7. The hour you think you don't have. The most common excuse people give for not improving their lives is also the most false. I just don't have the time. It sounds reasonable. It feels true. Our days are busy, our responsibilities are real, and it always seems like there's never enough time left for ourselves. But here's the truth. It's not that we don't have the time, it's that we've forgotten how to use it well. Let's break it down. Every one of us gets 24 hours in a day. That's 1,440 minutes. No more, no less. And yet while some people write books, build businesses, or completely transform their lives, others are stuck in the same patterns, year after year. The difference isn't time, it's how time is spent. Start by taking a time audit. This means sitting down and honestly tracking where your hours go. Not what you think you're doing, but what you're actually doing. How long do you spend scrolling on your phone? How much TV do you watch? How many hours disappear into mindless tasks, distractions, or waiting for motivation to kick in? You might be shocked to discover just how much of your day gets eaten by low-value activities that don't move you forward at all. The truth is, we're not running out of time, we're leaking it. We let minutes slip through the cracks, often without even realizing it. A 10-minute scroll becomes 30. One episode becomes 3. A quick check of social media turns into an hour of comparison and noise. These aren't breaks, they're distractions in disguise. And the cost, your potential. One of the simplest and most powerful shifts you can make is to trade 1 hour of consumption for 1 hour of creation or self-development. Instead of losing yourself in endless content, you could use that same hour to learn a new skill, read a meaningful book, reflect in a journal, move your body, or build something real. That's not just better use of time, it's a better life. You don't have to quit entertainment completely, but you do need to ask yourself, what's this hour costing me? Because time spent in distraction is time stolen from growth. And every hour you give away to the trivial is an hour you could have used to become who you say you want to be. The key is to become intentional. Set boundaries around your time. Design your day, don't drift through it. That might mean waking up an hour earlier or choosing to spend your lunch break reading instead of scrolling. It might mean replacing a late-night Netflix binge with an evening walk and a podcast. These aren't sacrifices, they're investments. When you start thinking this way, your perspective changes. You begin to realize that time isn't something you find, it's something you make, and you always have a choice in how it's used. Every day gives you 1,440 minutes. What matters is how many of those you dedicate to your future, not your distractions. Let's be honest, "I don't have time" is rarely true. What people really mean is it's not a priority right now. That may be fair, but be honest about it. If your health, your dreams, your personal growth aren't a priority, just say that. But don't lie to yourself about time, because as long as you believe you're too busy, you'll stay stuck. The moment you realize you're simply distracted, you take your power back. Here's a simple challenge for the next 7 days. Track every hour of your day. No judgment, just observation. Where does your time really go? What patterns show up? Once you see it, you can shift it. Awareness is the first step to freedom. After your audit, choose just 1 hour, any hour, to reclaim, protect it. Use it for yourself, whether that's in the morning, during your commute, after work, or before bed. Make it non-negotiable. Don't wait for the perfect window. Make the window. And when your mind says, "I'm too tired," remind yourself, energy comes from alignment. Doing something meaningful gives you more energy than wasting time ever will. You've already survived so many unproductive hours. You can thrive with just one purposeful one. You don't need a full day. You don't need to clear your entire schedule. You just need to stop believing the lie that change requires more time. It doesn't. It requires more focus. Remember this, you are not too busy. You are simply surrounded by distractions. But once you recognize that, you get to choose differently. You get to turn off the noise, log out, show up, and claim your 1 hour. And that 1 hour can begin to reshape everything: your habits, your mindset, your momentum, your results. In the end, it's not about having time, it's about choosing time and protecting it like your future depends on it, because it does. Chapter 8. Make it a ritual, not a random act. At some point in every journey of personal growth, you hit a wall. You start strong. You're motivated, inspired, maybe even obsessed. For a few days or weeks, everything feels possible, but eventually, without warning, that fire dims. Then 2, then a week. Suddenly, the hour that once felt sacred becomes optional again. Life gets loud. You get tired. Momentum fades. And that's when most people quit. Why? Because they were relying on motivation. And motivation is unreliable. It's emotional. It's inconsistent. It depends on how you feel, what's happening around you, and what your energy levels are like. If your 1 hour of change is built on motivation alone, it's going to crumble the moment life gets messy. The solution? Ritual. You need to stop treating your hour as a spontaneous act of inspiration and start treating it like a non-negotiable appointment with your future self. Think of it like brushing your teeth. You don't wait to feel inspired. You don't question whether it's worth it. You just do it. It's part of your day. You've built a system around it. Location, timing, tools, and now it runs on autopilot. That's what your hour of growth must become. A ritual that anchors your day, not an extra that gets squeezed in if you feel like it. Systems are greater than motivation. A system is a repeatable structure that supports your goals, even when your willpower is gone. When you build a system around your daily hour, same time, same place, same tools, you remove friction. You no longer have to decide if you'll do it. You just follow the ritual. The decision was made once, not daily. Take Maya Angelou, for example. She famously rented a hotel room solely for the purpose of writing. She didn't wait for inspiration to strike. She created an environment where the work could flow. Every morning, she'd show up, Same time, same setup, just her tools, and the space. There were no distractions, no excuses, no decisions to make. That room became her creative sanctuary, her ritual. Stack this ritual with cues. A cue is a trigger that tells your brain it's time to begin. It could be making a cup of coffee, lighting a candle, putting on a specific playlist, opening your journal, or putting your phone on airplane mode. These actions may seem small, but over time they become psychological anchors. They shift your state, they pull you into focus. They eliminate the mental resistance that comes from starting cold. When you string these elements together, cue, time, place, tools, you build a ritual that runs itself. Your environment starts doing the heavy lifting. This is the difference between people who dabble and people who transform. The dabblers wait to feel like it. The committed build containers that hold their focus, even when life is chaotic. Let's say your ritual is this. Wake up at 6:30 a.m., make coffee, sit at the kitchen table with your notebook and book, phone off, lo-fi playlist on, journal for 10 minutes, read 20 pages, reflect. That's 1 hour. It's quiet, repeatable, and powerful. And once you've done it for a week or two, it becomes automatic. You don't think about it anymore. You just do it. And every time you do, you deepen your identity as someone who shows up for themselves. That's the real goal here. To move from doing a thing to becoming a person. When your daily hour becomes a ritual, it stops being something you try. It becomes something you are. You're no longer someone who's trying to get better. You're someone who values growth, who makes time for what matters, who doesn't break promises to themselves. This identity shift is where real transformation lives. Because once you become that kind of person, the ripple effects touch every area of your life. You make better decisions. You manage your energy more intentionally. You become more grounded, more creative, more resilient. You begin to trust yourself because you've proven that you can follow through. Now, will there still be hard days? Absolutely. Will your schedule sometimes get thrown off? Of course, that's life. But the ritual is what helps you bounce back, because you're not starting from scratch each time. You have a structure to return to. And that structure is stronger than mood, stronger than distractions, and stronger than whatever excuse your brain comes up with. What if you travel, or your usual space isn't available? The power of ritual is that it's portable. It's not tied to a specific couch or a perfect routine. It's tied to your intention, and the systems you've built around that intention. A ritual can be adapted to different spaces. What matters is the consistency of your commitment. Let's go deeper. Part of building this ritual is eliminating decision fatigue. Every time you have to decide what to do during your hour, you burn mental energy that leads to procrastination. Instead, plan ahead. Know what book you're reading, what journal prompt you'll reflect on, what workout you'll follow, what project you're advancing. When you already know what's happening, your mind can fully engage. No delay, no mental negotiation, just flow. Another important piece of your ritual is boundaries. That means protecting your hour. Let your family or housemates know that this is your focused time. Mute notifications. Use noise-canceling headphones. Put your phone in another room. People might not understand at first, but they'll start to respect it when they see the results it creates in you. And don't forget, you don't have to be perfect. Ritual doesn't mean rigidity. You'll miss days. You'll have off weeks. That's okay. What matters is that your ritual becomes a home base, something you return to again and again. The point isn't perfection. The point is consistency and return. Eventually, this hour becomes your reset button, your alignment anchor, your personal sanctuary, a place where you're not performing for anyone, not reacting to the world, but reconnecting with yourself. That hour becomes the most honest part of your day. So stop chasing motivation. Stop waiting for perfect conditions. Start building a system that supports who you want to become. Create a ritual that works with your life, not against it. Make your hour a living structure, flexible, reliable, and deeply personal. Because when you stop making your hour random and start making it ritual, everything changes. Your habits sharpen, your goals become clearer, your self-respect deepens, and your transformation stops being a hopeful idea. It becomes your daily reality. 1 hour, same time, same place, same tools, over and over, until that hour changes everything. Chapter 9. When you miss a day, and you will. No matter how committed you are, how well you've planned, or how deeply you care about changing your life, you will miss a day. You'll get sick. Work will run late. A family emergency will take over your schedule. Or some days, you simply won't feel like it. You'll tell yourself you need a break, and without realizing it, you'll skip the hour you promised yourself. And that's okay. Missing a day isn't failure, it's part of the journey. The path of growth isn't a straight line. It's a messy, winding road filled with detours, slowdowns, and unexpected obstacles. The question isn't if you'll slip, it's what you'll do next. And that's where the real growth lives, in the return. One of the most powerful mindsets you can adopt is the never miss twice rule. It's simple, but transformative. If you miss a day, fine, but don't miss the next one. Give yourself grace for falling off, but apply gentle pressure to get back on. Missing once is a break. Missing twice is the start of a new habit. So let your comeback be quick. Let your identity pull you back before excuses have time to settle in. Too often people treat a missed day as a verdict. They tell themselves a story. I failed again. I can't stay consistent. What's the point? And that story becomes the reason they quit altogether. But the truth is, consistency isn't perfection. It's returning. Again and again, even when you fall short. Think of it like this. If you dropped your phone, would you pick it up or stomp on it? Obviously you'd pick it up. Missing 1 hour isn't reason to abandon your growth. It's just a signal to realign. And this is where self-compassion becomes your secret weapon. Without it, every stumble becomes shame. And shame is heavy. It keeps you stuck. But when you approach your missteps with kindness and honesty, you create room for correction without judgment. You say, okay, I missed today. Why? Was I overwhelmed? Distracted? Tired? What can I learn from this? That reflection is far more valuable than self-criticism. It builds awareness. And awareness builds resilience. Sustainable growth isn't powered by punishment. It's powered by grace and accountability. Grace says, I'm human. I can make mistakes. Accountability says, but I'll still show up. Together they create a rhythm of progress that lasts far beyond fleeting motivation. So when life pulls you off track, and it will, don't wait for everything to settle perfectly before coming back. Come back in the mess. Come back tired. Come back uncertain. Just come back. Even a half-effort return is better than waiting for the perfect moment. Because the longer you stay away, the harder it becomes to restart. Sometimes, your return won't look like a full hour. That's fine too. Read 10 pages instead of 20. Do a short walk instead of a full workout. Journal for 5 minutes instead of 30. The ritual doesn't need to be grand to be powerful. It just needs to be present. The act of showing up, no matter how small, keeps your identity intact. It tells your brain, this is still who I am. That identity matters more than you think. People who succeed long-term don't succeed because they never fall off. They succeed because they never let failure define them. They see their hour as a relationship, not a rule, and like any relationship, it requires forgiveness, understanding, and renewal. There will be seasons when it's harder to stay consistent. You might go through grief, burnout, transition, or unexpected pressure. In those seasons, your best will look different. And that's okay. The goal is not to do the same thing forever. It's to stay connected to your growth, in whatever way you can. Your hour may shrink, your effort may waver, but your commitment to return must remain. Another way to build resilience into your system is by having check-ins. Once a week, ask yourself, how did I show up this week? What helped? What hurt? What's one thing I can adjust? These check-ins keep you aware and engaged. They prevent small slips from becoming full spirals. Also, create some light accountability. You don't need to broadcast your goals to the world, but sharing your intention with a trusted friend or writing it down where you see it daily can keep your mind aligned. It's a quiet reminder. You're doing this for a reason. Don't let a slip erase the progress. And when you do slip, remember how far you've come. Look at the pages you've read, the hours you've moved, the entries in your journal, the projects you've started. Every day you showed up counts. Missing one doesn't erase the rest. Let your wins speak louder than your setbacks. Here's the real secret. Consistency isn't just what builds results. It's what builds trust in yourself. Every time you return, you prove something. You show yourself that you're not someone who gives up when it gets hard. You're someone who keeps going. Someone who takes ownership. Someone who knows that growth isn't about being flawless. It's about being faithful. So expect imperfection. Expect days you won't want to do it. Expect interruptions and emotions and chaos. But also expect this: you will return. And every time you do, you strengthen the most powerful habit of all, the habit of starting again. Because in the end, the people who change their lives aren't the ones who never mess up. They're the ones who mess up, pause, and keep going. Let yourself be one of them. Chapter 10. 1 hour a day for a life you don't want to escape from. This entire journey, every hour you've shown up, every habit you've cultivated, every choice you've made to honor your growth, has brought you to this point. The realization that 1 hour a day isn't just a productivity hack. It's not a trend or a clever time trick. It's a path to something far more meaningful, a life you no longer want to escape from. Let's pause and look back. Think about where you were 90 days ago, before you started taking 1 hour for yourself each day, before you committed, before you believed it could matter. Who were you then? What did your routines look like? How did your days feel? Chances are they were busy but unfocused, full but not fulfilling. You had dreams, maybe even urgency, but not enough traction. And now, you're no longer spinning your wheels. You're moving forward with clarity, purpose, and momentum. This is the power of compound growth. You didn't change your life in one leap. You changed it 1 hour at a time. One decision, one ritual, one quiet act of self-leadership stacked on top of another. You showed up when it was easy, and more importantly, you showed up when it wasn't. You didn't need to broadcast your journey. You didn't need applause. What you needed was consistency, and you gave it to yourself. Now the results are speaking for themselves. Maybe your body feels stronger. Maybe your mind feels sharper. Maybe your confidence has returned. Maybe you've built a habit that finally stuck. Or maybe, most powerfully, you've simply proven to yourself that you can follow through. And that changes everything. Let's go even deeper. The beauty of this practice isn't just in the progress you've made. It's in the life you're creating through it. A life that's aligned with your values, with your purpose, with who you've always known you could become. That doesn't mean everything is perfect, but it means your direction is true. You're building a life that feels like yours, a life you're proud to wake up to. Too many people live in quiet desperation, constantly chasing escapes through social media, binge-watching, overworking, or mindless routines. They dream of vacations to escape the life they've built. But you're building a life you don't need to escape from. A life that's sustainable, meaningful, and grounded. A life that makes sense from the inside out. And it all starts with a simple truth. Success is not one big break. It's the sum of small efforts repeated daily. Think about the now famous 10,000-hour rule, popularized by Malcolm Gladwell. It says that mastery in any field takes about 10,000 hours of deliberate practice. That number sounds huge, almost unreachable, but broken down, that's 1 hour a day for 27 years, or 2 hours a day for just under 14. And if you're serious, 3 focused hours a day gets you there in under 10 years. But even if you never reach 10,000 hours, what really matters is who you become in the pursuit. Daily practice gives you power. It gives you structure. It gives you freedom. Because now you're not waiting for permission, luck, or a perfect time. You've learned how to take ownership of your time, and, by extension, your life. This practice is your foundation now. The hour you carve out each day is a declaration. My growth matters. My dreams matter. I matter. And that declaration ripples through everything else. It affects how you work, how you love, how you lead, how you rest. It shapes your identity. It raises your standards. And yes, there will be days when your life still feels messy, uncertain, or overwhelming. But your hour is now your anchor. It's your reset. It's the part of the day where you come back to yourself, where you remember why you started, where you plant seeds that may not bloom tomorrow, but will absolutely bear fruit with time. Because that's what real success is. It's the slow, quiet accumulation of focused intention. It's showing up for yourself long before anyone else notices. It's doing the work not for the result, but for the alignment, for the peace of knowing you're no longer drifting. You're designing your life. You're not chasing anymore. You're creating, and that makes all the difference. So what's next? You keep going. You take this momentum, and you turn it into a lifestyle. You protect your hour. You adapt it when life changes. You don't try to be perfect. You aim to be present. You remember that the hour doesn't have to look the same every day. Some days it will be fiery and full of energy. Other days it will be quiet and restorative. That's okay. The ritual is not about intensity. It's about intention. And over time the hours add up. 1 becomes 10. 10 becomes 100. 100 becomes 1,000. And slowly but surely you become someone who doesn't just dream of a better life. You live one. Maybe you're writing the book that used to scare you. Maybe you're reading more than you ever have. Maybe your body is stronger. Maybe your thoughts are kinder. Maybe you're launching the business, starting the course, meditating daily, creating art, or simply walking through your day with more presence. These are not small wins. These are foundations. They are the building blocks of your dream life, laid one brick at a time. And if you ever feel tempted to quit, if the world starts pulling you back toward chaos, distractions, or noise, come back to this. Your dream life isn't far away. It's 1 hour closer every day. 1 hour to return to your purpose. 1 hour to invest in your mind. 1 hour to build what matters. 1 hour to reflect, to move, to learn, to write, to grow. That hour will never be loud. It won't shout for attention, but it will always be waiting. And if you honor it, It will shape you into someone who no longer needs escape, because you've built a life that feels like home. So keep the promise. Protect the hour. Build the life. Because the version of you you've always wanted to become, they're not a fantasy. They're real. They're waiting. And you're already on the path. 1 hour a day is enough to change your life. You've proven it. Now live it. So here we are, at the end of this journey, but truly it's just the beginning. You've learned something that most people never do. It was never about time, it was never about having more hours in your day, or some perfect stretch of free time suddenly opening up. What you needed wasn't more time. What you needed was commitment, and you made it. You committed to just 1 hour a day, and in doing so you changed your life. Not overnight, not with some dramatic explosion of progress, but slowly, quietly, powerfully, through repetition, through intention, through showing up on the days when it felt good, and especially on the days when it didn't. Now take a moment to reflect on everything that's shifted. You're not the same person you were when this began. You've stretched. You've focused. You've built. You've learned to prioritize progress over perfection. You've stopped waiting for a new life to begin and started building it, hour by hour. This isn't a temporary phase. This is a new rhythm, a new way of showing up for yourself. So as you move forward, let this hour remain your anchor. The one part of your day where the outside world quiets down and your inner growth rises up. Let it be your promise, your ritual, your edge, because the hour that changed you once will keep transforming you, if you let it. So keep going, keep building, keep returning. Because as the saying goes, you don't need a new life, you need new habits. And you've just built the most powerful one of all.